Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Single Chronicles. I am your girl, RSOs, aka Insomniac Writer, and today we have a short, brief episode. But I wanted to talk about something that kind of tickled my fancy. Because I'm always on Instagram and I see things and I'm like, oh, this would be good to talk about. So today I'm talking about happiness. Just simple. Are you happy? And I'm going to talk about what made me think about that question. So, if you are new here, make sure you like, favorite, subscribe, bookmark, whatever you got to do to save this podcast so that you can be notified for future episodes and stuff. For everyone else, welcome to the Single Chronicles. Missing someone. Missing someone. Missing someone. So I was watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the last Doctor Strange film, and it had the Olsen twins little sister, Mary Olsen, I think that's her name. I can't remember her name. But anyway, the younger one, WandaVision, she was trying to take over the world because she wanted kids. So anyway, at the end of the movie, Doctor Strange turns to Wong and asks Wong. He turns to him and said, "Are you happy?" And I thought about that question. Like, am I happy? I ask people, "Are you happy?" Like we always there are people online that say, "Yeah, I'm happy in a relationship. I'm happy single." But regardless of the why, like, you know what I mean, without having to think and count on your fingers, are you genuinely happy? Like, are you legitimately happy? And I had to think about that because I know there have been folks asking me, "Hey, well, Rose, why aren't you in a relationship? Why aren't you dating? Why aren't you seeking someone?" And then I'm like, I'm just not. And it wasn't for lack of trying for a minute. And then it just got to a point, it just felt like a complete and utter waste of time. And I was just like, well, I'm enjoying my own company. I'm going places and doing things that I like to do, and I'm doing something I'm passionate about. I'm doing several things I'm passionate about. It's not just the one thing, it's several things, you know. And it just got me thinking about, like, I'm genuinely happy doing these things. Now, there are some things that I'm not happy about, like where I live at, for example. I would wish I could live in a better neighborhood, but for the most part, sorry, my nose was running. For the most part, I'm happy with my life. My physical fitness I'm working on. And even though I'm not at the goal that I want to be at physically, I feel good when I get out of bed in the morning. I feel good when I finally go to sleep at night. So physically, I'm over. Like, there are things I'm content and cool with. Now, that doesn't mean I don't want to continue to work on those things. It just means I'm happy. And but I kept thinking about that question. And then I thought about, that whole, well, you can't be possibly happy single and by yourself. Why? Why is it that? And I understand we were a society, especially as women, that regardless of why or who we married, we couldn't live and sustain ourselves financially. It just wasn't feasible over the last several centuries, not in this society. I can't talk about societies of the past and other places where there may have been a matriarchal type of thing going on. But for the Euro patriarchal society, not to sound like one of those feminist people, think about it. There were actual rules that they had to put in place just so a female could open a bank account. And outside of being a prostitute, what other fun she was really doing, for real, for real? Think about it. Like, there were some things that women contributed and made money off of at some point down the road. But for the most part, like, shoot, a lot of things were made by men, regardless if they were marketed to or created for women. We really didn't have a stable sense of sources of income. We didn't have credit. We didn't have bank accounts, stuff like that. So, and it didn't become the playing field didn't become remotely level until like the 60s and 70s. Like, Doesn't matter when the whole suffrage movement and women's movements and all this other stuff started. 1975 marked the era when, okay, women got to get fair banking and credit accounts and all that other stuff. So not to get all political, but moving along, um, the livelihood of a female was dependent upon a man. So now that that's not the case anymore, now that any female out here has the propensity or the potential to live a life and sustain her own life, with that being the case, um, with that being the case, and her not needing a relationship with anybody to sustain herself. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about like, any type of societal issues that might prevent that. Because yeah, pretty much a lot of people are poor or struggling. But when you level the player field, you take those things that can get in the way. If she got kids or she got a low paying job, whatever, whatever. But the playing field for the most part, the opportunities are out there, regardless if she has access to them or not. The opportunities are there. So if you think about that, like when there's more and more opportunities out here for women to need a partner, and I'm not going to just say men, but just need a partner less and less and less. It creates this dynamic. It creates this sense of entitlement that men are like, well, you are must be miserable. It's like this mindset. Oh, she home with a bunch of cats, so she like. First of all, who started hating on cats? She might got a dog. Anyway, um, the point is that we have this mindset that we've created. It's this husband, wife, kid or kids, maybe an animal, and that's the perfect life. Picket white fence. But that's not always the case. And I'm not downplaying that. If that is a goal for you, great. If that's something that you want and that's something you're working towards or that's something that you already have, I'm not knocking for it. More power to you, and I hope that it continues to be great. What I'm saying is that the question is, are you happy? Period. Like when you take out, like I'm happy I'm able to provide for my child. I'm able to feed, put food on the table stuff. Yeah, I'm happy to be able to do those things, but am I happy? And I had to think about that's a really hard question. It's a simple question, but it's really hard to ask when you really start digging deep. Are your needs being fulfilled? Mentally, physically, sexually, spiritually, emotionally, all of these things. I think I said physically. But the point is that if all those things are being fulfilled, if all those needs are being met, be it by you or another person, you know what I mean? Okay, that leads to some contentment. But if one or some of those needs aren't being met, can you actually say you're happy? Can you do without them? I mean, some people are, some people aren't. Some people are so they're so fixated on the idea of having those things with someone else that they look past the fact that they can provide them for themselves. And again, I'm not pushing being single and staying alone. And not my whole point of this conversation is, are you going to continue to be in a rut or feel some type of way because you don't have a partner, because you don't have someone? Some people just live their lives to appease another person and they get lost in that person. And then when that person leaves, they're broken. And that's just so fucked up. And that's what I'm trying to avoid. The next relationship, should I choose to be in one. That's not saying that I don't go out on dates here and there or I don't have fun or I'm looking to turn down any potential partners. What I'm saying is that if I'm not able to find happiness within myself, and heaven forbid something happens to that partner, then what? You know what I mean? There were societies back in the day, and this is probably where the idea of polygamy came through, that women couldn't, like a man couldn't just take care of some other lady, some other dude's wife, or even if the dude died. You know what I mean? Even if that wife was his wife's sister or relative or something, he couldn't, or if she was the neighbor, he couldn't just do that. He had to be legally, tied to her. So, all right, I'm gonna marry you so that I can legally take care of you under the eyes of God, because God wants us to be married. I can't be charitable for the sake of being charitable. I gotta marry you to do that. So regardless of what the whys of how polygamy might have started or whatever, and we're not talking about concubines and side chicks and all of that other stuff. We ain't talking about that. We're talking about, you know, having a partner, another partner. And I think about That's probably why it started. I don't want to get into the history and I don't want to debate anybody. But regardless of the whys, that's not the case anymore. Unless she's an invalid and she too old to work anyway, and she's if she's able bodied, she can do it herself. She don't need a man to do it for her. So and then it goes back to what I was talking about last week about these, guys that ask for what are you bringing to the table type of shit. Motherfucker, I am the table. You know what I mean? Like I don't and it's like and then both sides go at this, they butt heads and they go at it and it's like, all right, bet. Um, what do you bring to the table? I bring X, Y, and Z. All right, well, if you bring that, then what about this? And they start being unstable. Like they really don't know what they want. And it causes this confusion, and then it causes them to project that onto the person that they're supposedly wanting. But back to the happy thing, back to the partnership thing, and I'm going to make this connect. I promise. When you don't know what you want in life, and you're miserable deep down on the inside, and you have unresolved shit, be it from a relationship, be it from childhood, or just be it from just in general with something with yourself, you lay all your problems and you bring all your shit to to that next person, no matter who they are, regardless if you're doing it intentional or not. Whether it's intentional isn't even the point. The point is that when you don't fix your shit, you take it with you. It ain't gonna disappear. It's just like if I go into debt, like right now, my credit score pretty good. I can go out here and get me some shit. You know what I mean? I'm up there. That doesn't mean I ain't got debt. But what it does mean is that I have a better chance of having I have better purchasing power than someone whose credit score is in the 600s or the 500s or the 400s. So if my credit score is not great, it's good. It's very good. I think that it's in the green. That's all I know. It ain't in the yellow. It ain't in the orange. It's in the high 700s. We pushing 8. So with that being said, and I worked hard to get that. Now, am I debt free? No. So I got some things, and I already knew that I had a large purchase coming up in August because I'm going to ZenCon, and I know I had to kick out money for it. So I knew that my credit score was going to take a dip. There were some other purchases, some repairs I had to do for products for my Love Yourself wellness. But anyway, the point is that I knew it was going to take a dip under 8, probably to like the high 7s, and I was like, all right, I was prepared for that. But the point is that I still have better purchasing power than someone that don't got that credit score. Unless you just got the money. Now, there's someone who might have a bad credit score, way worse than mine, but make a whole lot more money and they can just afford to buy whatever they want. The point is that either way, they take that bad credit with them. I take my debt with me. Like I may not have a lot of debt, but I don't make a whole lot of money at my main job, which is why I got all these side hustles. So I take that with me until I square that off. I take it with me. It's not going anywhere. So this is the same thing with hurt in relationships and hurt in just in life in general. When you don't solve or resolve your issues, you take that with you. It's just like a criminal record for the most part. Until you get that shit expunged and taken care of, it's going with you. And people don't want to get to the root of the issue. It's just like health, physical health. If I go to the gym every day, but I smoke, I drink, I eat shitty foods, I don't get adequate. Oh shit, damn, that sounds like me now. No, I'm just joking. Um, if I don't do the whole part of that triangle of fitness, because to me it's a triangle. It's what you're eating, so it's diet, it's rest, and it's movement and exercise. If I'm not getting adequate, if those needs aren't being met on one of those angles of the triangle of fitness, guess what? I'm not going to be my 100% best physically. It's not to say that I'm going to not be worse off than someone who ain't doing none of those things, but it's not going to be the best as someone that's doing them all. And it's definitely not going to be I'm not going to be able to put my best foot forward in anything that I'm doing. I'm going to feel the effects of, oh, damn, I went drinking last night, or I ate like last night. Recently we just ended Passover. So me and my daughter always get like Italian. So there might be pizza or pasta, something to that extent. I felt that next day, and then the next day I went and put more carbs. So, as I'm sitting here, I'm like, "Oh gosh." I was dragging my ass today a little bit, and it wasn't because it was intentional, it was the fact that I knew that I put things in my body that wasn't necessarily the greatest. They weren't the worst, but they wasn't the greatest either. So, I'm like, "All right, I know that once Passover is over, I know Imma go in because I went 8 days without the carbs that I desire." And it's like, all right, when you can't have something, you want it that much more. So now I'm like, all right, now coming forward, I got a place to be in August. I'm trying to like not, I'm like, I ain't trying to have things not fit the way I want them to fit. So that means I need to go and get my shit back together. So I'm gonna do my detoxes over the next couple of weeks. Like I like to do a slow detox and kind of reset my body. I don't like to just flush everything and just be lethargic. Like I want to like I like the way my detoxes work because they just, and not to plug myself, but my green juice and my other juices, they put the nutrients in and they help reset things cuz it's like your body has to get used to it. Like you can't put your body in a state of shock and just go cold turkey and then put all this other stuff in your body and be like, "Oh yeah, I detox," and just start like you some people can, but I can't. And it takes a toll, and I be having so much stuff to do. I'm like, I wouldn't even get out of bed. Some of those detoxes are very detrimental on your body because they just do too much all at once. And that's why I decided to do something different and it's worked. But moving along. The point is that if I don't physically do what I'm supposed to do, it's going to follow me. I'm going to take that with me. So I'm not going to be my best self. And that's the same thing emotionally and mentally. Going back to what Doctor Strange said to Wong, it went back to, I think, when he met his other self, the not so good Doctor Strange, and he was like, "Are you happy?" They kind of they was like, "Nah, like you let the girl of your dreams go." You know what I mean? And she asked him if he was happy when she was at her wedding. Because she wanted one thing, he wanted something else. And it wasn't that she still didn't love him, but it was like she wanted more that he wasn't capable of giving her and or that he wasn't prepared to. He got to save the world. He got to do all this other stuff. Before that, he was this doctor, you know what I mean? A doc like a surgeon. So he's doing all these things that pushed her to the back burner. She wasn't feeling it. Jane, wasn't that her name Jane? I don't know. Whatever. Whatever Doctor Strange love interest is. I think Jane was Thor. All right. But anyway, back to this. So the point was she asked him if he was happy. He lied and said yes. And he realized that his other self in another universe did the same exact thing. And he was just like, he's like, I lied and told her I went back. I got all the magic in the world. I got the power of a god. I'm this and that. And basically he's not lying on that aspect. But there was one part of his soul, his body, his of him that was empty without her. And because like at the end of the day, what can he do? He gonna break up the wedding? Like, no, you let her go. And I think and there was another episode in What If where he was constantly trying to save her. He kept doing all these things magically. Like it was really decent. I think that was like that was the version of Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange that was really he just kept getting more and more magic, getting more and more until he became something that no one could recognize. So, and when he did that, um, it was like, damn, that's fucked up. You did all of that to prevent the inevitable because you didn't want to heal. Yes, I'm sure someone else out there. I mean, I know I can't really speak on people love life, especially, you know, not real characters from comic book movies. But when you don't take that hurt with you and you don't heal, I mean, when you don't heal, you take that hurt with you, period. So that means you're not happy. You can't be happy with someone new. And a lot of times people don't want to do that work. You know what I mean? We don't want to get fit. We just want to get surgery or do something drastic to our bodies, like a crazy ass detox and then one of them crazy ass fad diets and all this goofy stuff that don't make no sense. So, with that being said, what are you doing to make yourself happy? What are you like? And I'm not talking about shit to fill the time. Like, I'm not talking about making yourself so busy that you can't breathe and you get overwhelmed. I'm like, is there anything that you're passionate and happy about that you're passionate and happy about? You know what I mean? Like it's for people that do music. when you write a song, that feeling when you write that song, do you have that for every other song you write after that? Because sometimes when our passions become hobbies, when our passions and hobbies become means of income, and now you have to do it and you can't. It's just like I cannot get my next book off the ground. I can't get it off the ground to save my life. I don't be having the time. Then when I finally do have the time, I don't the muse is just going. I don't have the words to put on the paper. And it's just like, damn. But this is something I still love doing. This is something that I still do. It might not be the story that I intended on writing. It might be something else. But I remember I'm like, well, how did I get my first story, like my baby, off the ground? I was a college kid with no fucking real job. That's how I got it off the ground. And then I hurt myself. So I can't play soccer. I can't go clubbing with my friends. I can't do anything in between classes. I just got sick. Then I get pregnant and I really can't do nothing. So it was like I had this extra time on my hands. Then eventually, stay at home mom stuff. My kid would sleep. I would finish my story. I had the time. I made the time. We make the time for the things we really want to do. But then it became this thing where, all right, where's your next story? We like that. Now we got to do another one. Now I got to do another one. Even to the stuff that I'm doing, it's even to the stuff that it was the other stuff that I was doing. You know what I mean? Like my YouTube stuff, for example. Like when I was doing the Single Chronicles as a satirical thing, and it's not for lack of trying. I did try to bring it back, but every week trying to get a video out, trying to rush with like the algorithm was fucking stressful. You're trying to get first of all, you're trying to come up with content, then you're trying to edit, then you got to film that content, you got to edit that content, then you got to make sure it's good, you got to put it out there, and then you got to plug it to your friends because if the app itself doesn't push it out there, or if somebody that you don't know, some random, somebody that's popping don't follow it or you don't put an ad on it and promote it like monetarily or whatever, now you gotta now you gotta spend all day pushing it to your friends who might not even check it out. So it became tedious. And when it became tedious, I lost my passion for it. I didn't like doing it no more. Don't get me wrong, I still like editing. I love the end result. I love when I create something. Like that's why I still do the trailer reactions because I love to do that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like I don't feel like doing this right now. And it's not that I don't feel like it. I spent 8 hours at work. Then I spent time and after work doing other stuff. By the time I get some free time to do that, it's like 1 in the morning. Now it's time for me to go to sleep. So, with that being said, I had to ask myself, Bruce, are you happy? And it was like I thought about the whole relationship thing. And I remember when I was in such a and I think it was parts because the relationship was toxic. But then I thought about the relationship itself and the fact that I was in it. I was so busy trying to appease a person that really didn't want to be in a relationship with me or a relationship in general. Like he really just was trying to do his own thing. He was out here trying to just do everything with a pulse and a vagina. And I'm like, I had this pick me attitude, like pick me, pick me, pick me, like doing everything. Like, first of all, if you're supposed to be with someone, if the relationship's meant to be, you ain't gotta try so hard. You really honestly don't. Like people don't be understanding it. Like they be having this mindset that if I do all these things, maybe they'll like me. No, they won't. If they like you, they just gonna fucking like you. So regardless of such, I did all of this and I look back in the 3 years that we was in a relationship, 2 of them I did no writing. Literally no blogging. Maybe every now and again I might show somebody something else on my page or on my website, or it might have been some other stuff that I was doing. Like right now, like even with my blog, I noticed I was like, damn, all I'm doing is movie reviews. I gotta do something else. And sometimes I'll sprinkle some shit in there that I want to talk about. But the point is that then it got easier to just post a video on TikTok or Instagram and say what I gotta say that way. So needless to say, I just got tired of the shenanigans, so to speak. And I got tired of doing so much for this person and it didn't feel appreciated. I didn't feel like it was reciprocated. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he was a bad person. He just was a bad person for me. And I'm not saying he didn't appreciate the shit that he was doing, but because that wounded women in me, that wounded, hurt version of me back then, I had this expectancy that he was going to reciprocate it. Like I was like, yeah, well, why you ain't loving me back? You know what I mean? And because I wasn't healed from my traumas from childhood, my traumas and just in general, and thinking that, oh, this person is supposed to repay me back. No, that's not how love works. You know what I mean? So once I got out of that mindset, once I healed later on after the relationship ended, and I realized that's not what love is, even though that's what I was taught or that's what I was exposed to, or you know what I mean, whatever the case might be. Like, I don't have to do these things for you, and you don't have to do these things. You should want to do them. You should want to buy your girl flowers. You should want to cook your man a meal. You should want to do these things just because, not because you feel obligated to do it. That's not love. Love is not an obligation. You know what I mean? Now, kids is one thing. That's a responsibility. Yeah, you love your kids, but you're responsible for them because they can't take care of themselves. But when it's another human being of sound mind and they're adult just like you fall into these obligations, and then you fall into these needs, and then you become unhappy. You get so warped up and wrapped in that person that you lose who you are. And heaven forbid if they leave after all of that, then you feel broken because now you didn't put any of that into yourself. You didn't put any of that emotion and love and effort into yourself. And now look at you. Look at you. So that's why I want to end this podcast right here with this question. Are you happy? Take away the partner. No, I'm talking about you. Like, are you genuinely happy? Doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or not. Are you happy? And if you are not happy, what is it that you are passionate and happy about that you would rather be doing? Take away the responsibilities that you got to do every day because we all got them. Take away all these things that you just have to do work, kids, this, that. What is it that you as an individual are passionate about? Is it music? Is it collecting buttons? Is it I don't know, animals. I don't know what it is. It could be any random thing that you just like it doing to help pass the time. Something that just gives you joy. Something that if you were to think about it right now, it put a smile on your face. Again, are you happy? That's all I wanted to talk to y'all about. So I'm going to wrap it up here. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Stick around for a little bit. We're going to do a bit of writer's reflection, and we are going to cap it up then. And yeah, that's about it. So thank y'all for tuning in, but don't go anywhere. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Single Chronicles. Today we talked about being happy. It sounds like a simple premise. It sounds like child's play, correct? You know, oh, if I do this and if I do that, I'll be happy. And we get caught up in this destination happiness, but not in the happiness of today, not in the happiness of now. And for some of us, that means when we come across someone that's not genuinely happy, but we're into them and we love them, we have this obligation to make them happy and people please. It is not your responsibility. And you know what I mean? It's everyone's own responsibility for their happiness. Of course, you want to add to that. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, as a parent, as a child, a daughter or a son, as a sibling, as a grandchild or a grandparent or anything, you want to do things for the people you love. You know what I mean? Because you love them. But it's not out of obligation. You know what I mean? Like I remember dating someone that just no matter what, he was just depressed. And me, with the light and energy that I had, I'm trying to offer things to make him happy, trying to offer things to make them, feel good about themselves on the inside. But it was just like, oh my God, you're such a Debbie Downer. To the point, looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I got out of that situation. But the point is that you can't get so caught up in the things that you don't have. You lose sight of your passions, you lose sight of your hobbies, you lose sight of the things that you enjoy doing. And then you get caught in a whirlwind of depression, anxiety. And don't get me wrong, that's not the cause of those things. But it can perpetuate those things or make those things worse. So I always tell people, you know what I mean? When you take away the psychology behind depression and anxiety, I'm talking about genuinely happy. If you took away the relationship, the money, the looks, all the tangible things that we could lose at the drop of a hat. Are you happy? And I really had to ask myself those questions. And then when I looked and I said, yeah, I enjoy my company. There are things I love doing, whether I do it with someone else or not. I love what I do, and I love doing this, the podcast, my classes, doing my wellness drinks, writing, traveling, all these things that I never knew I loved doing because I was so warped up and trying to please someone else that didn't want to be with me in the first place. And then it got me to thinking that when I do find someone that could appreciate those things, not only appreciate me being happy doing those things, but they won't be intimidated by those things getting in the way of our relationship. And they will have their own passions and hobbies and likes too. It's not to say that within a relationship we can't be there for each other and love each other and all those things that come with being, all the cool shit that come with it. Cool things that come with being in a relationship. But it means that we can thrive together and we can also thrive apart. But we still can come back together. But in the terms of being happy, genuinely happy with the way things are, with the life you live, I'm genuinely putting out an energy that I am happy. And that's what comes off. And it's not fake. It's not forced. It's not me trying to do, these things that to make up for it or to compensate. No, these are things I'm genuinely happy doing. When I get out of bed in the morning, or like, even if I don't feel like, even if I'm tired, there have been days where I went out the night before, I was up late, and then I had to get up and go to teach a class at 10 o'clock in the morning. I got up with no problem because it was something that I was happy to do. And on top of it, I got some money out of it. So find something, and I've said this so many times, I probably can have at least 5 episodes where I mention these things, but find things that make you happy. But before you start trying to discover yourself or trying to find it in a partner or whatever, because sometimes we let the fact that we're not happy with ourselves overpower that, come together with the fact that we're alone and lonely. And then it's like, all right, if I find somebody, I'll be happy. No, because if you're a miserable SOB while you're by yourself, you'll be the same when you're with someone else. I guarantee it. So take this time to look in, do some inner work, reflect, work on yourself. Because again, I've gotten those questions. Well, why aren't you why are you still single? And blah, 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 blah. And it's not to say that I haven't, it's not that people aren't attracted or I'm not attracted. Every day there's someone in my inbox or someone I might walk past. They might say something, I don't have a problem attracting anybody. It's the problem of me not feeling that, okay, this is going to go anywhere. Like, I just know it from the drop of a hat. It's like, I can't put my finger on it. Before, I used to be like, oh my God, this person likes me. All right, they're giving me attention. And now I'm not like that. I'm not starved for attention. I'm not starved for, these things that may feel like love, this chemistry. I'm not starved for that. I seek the compatibility. And if I don't feel that we're compatible, if I don't feel that we like the same things, I'm not going to bother wasting your time. So, I want you to sit back, do a little homework assignment, and ask yourself, are you happy? And it cannot, absolutely not, have anything to do with another human being. Yeah, you might be happy that you're a parent. I know I am. You might be happy that, you do good for people. But are you genuinely happy? That's the question. That's the assignment. So do that. And if you're on Spotify, I'm going to leave a question down below or somewhere on here on this particular episode. And leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know, are you genuinely happy? And if you're not, what are you doing to work towards that happiness? What is it that you're unhappy about? And if you are happy, tell me why. Why are you happy? What makes you happy every day? What makes you get out of bed with the pep in your step. Like, I get out of bed, I got my happy playlist. I get out and start singing in the shower. I'm just in a good mood. Like, there's so much to be angry about. There's so much to be embittered by, but I just choose to be happy. I choose to, instead of lament life, I appreciate life. And that's that energy that I put out. And I think that's what people are attracted to. Because it ain't just the looks. It probably is. But the point is that I think it's definitely the energy. Energy is so crazy. You can grab onto someone's energy and not even know that person. Like, you can just feel it. So, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I did mention detox juices, so check out my wellness shop, Love Yourself Wellness. I do have a website. I'll put it in the description below. That's also on my links on all of my social media. You can definitely click my link tree and order you something. Or if you see me in passing, like, hey, I need some detox. That detox you was talking about. So that's going to be the promo for today. I'm not doing an actual promo, but again, thank you so much for tuning in. You guys have a blessed rest of your day and week. Enjoy the weather, even if it might rain. Hug your loved ones. Look in that mirror and tell yourself, I am happy, I love me. And if you're not, let's work on that. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Again, I'm R.S. Lewis, aka Insomniac Writer. Be awesome, be you, but above all else, love yourself. All right, guys, take care. I am sad and so